Daniel 3:1-7, Nebuchadnezzar's statue. King Nebuchadnezzar had a golden statue made that was 60 cubits high and 6 cubits wide. He erected the statue on the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. He then ordered an assembly of his princes, magistrates and governors, as well as the counselors, treasurers, judges, sheriffs, and all the other provincial authorities, that they should be present at the dedication of the statue he had erected. So all these officials gathered in front of the golden statue that the king had made. Then a herald made the loud proclamation, "Attention, everyone! Listen to what the king commands of you, you of every nation and language. When you hear the ram's horn and the music of the flute, the lyre, the 10-stringed harp, the triangular harp, the drums and all the other instruments, you will bow down to the ground and worship the golden statue that King Nebuchadnezzar has made. Whoever does not bow down to worship it will immediately be thrown into a white, hot, fiery furnace." Therefore, at the set time, as soon as they heard the musical instruments, those present from all nations and languages bowed down and worshipped the golden image that King Nebuchadnezzar had set up. Daniel 3:8-18, the condemnation of the young Jewish men. At that point, certain Babylonian astrologers approached the king and maliciously denounced the Jews. They said to King Nebuchadnezzar, "O king, live forever. You issued a royal decree, O king, that when everyone hears the ram's horn and the music begins, they must bow down to the ground and worship the golden image. And whoever does not bow down and worship it will be thrown inside a white-hot, fiery furnace. Yet, the prominent Jews whom you have appointed administrators of the province of Babylon have greatly disrespected you, your majesty. Their names are Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They do not serve your gods, nor worship the golden image you have set up." Upon hearing this, King Nebuchadnezzar flew into a furious rage and ordered Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to be brought before him. When these men came before the king, he asked them, "Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, that you do not serve my gods or worship the golden statue that I erected? I now give you one more chance. When you hear the ram's horn and the music of the flute, the lyre, the 10-stringed harp, the triangular harp, the drums and all the other instruments, you will bow down to the ground and worship the golden statue I have made. But if you refuse to worship it, you will be thrown immediately into a white-hot, fiery furnace. So now, who is the God that can save you from my power?" Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered King Nebuchadnezzar, "We have no need to offer you a defense in this matter. If the God we serve truly exists, then he will save us from death at your hand, O king. So if you throw us into the fiery furnace, our God is able to save us. But even if he does not save us, you can be sure, O king, that we would not serve your gods or worship the golden statue you have erected." Daniel 3:19-30. Daniel's 3 friends are sentenced to death. Upon hearing this, Nebuchadnezzar was filled with anger, and his face was distorted with rage against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He ordered his men to heat the fiery furnace 7 times hotter than it usually was. He also commanded some of his mighty men to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and throw them into the white-hot furnace. Immediately, they tied up the 3 men while they still had on all their clothes, their trousers, shirts, and turbans, and then threw them into the white-hot furnace. But because the king's command was so urgent and the furnace so overheated, the raging flames burned up the men who carried Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego into the fire. And the 3 men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, tied and bound, fell inside the blazing, white-hot furnace. Suddenly King Nebuchadnezzar jumped up in amazement and asked his officials, "Didn't we throw 3 men bound in fetters into the fire?" "That is correct, your majesty," they answered him. "But look, he shouted. "I see 4 men walking about freely in the fire. They're all unharmed, and the 4th man has the appearance of a son of the gods." Then Nebuchadnezzar cautiously approached the opening of the white-hot blazing furnace and shouted, "Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, servants of the great God, come out here now." So out of the midst of the fire walked Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego completely unharmed. When all the king's officials had assembled, along with the princes, magistrates, and governors, they discovered that the fire had not harmed these 3 men. Their hair was not singed, their clothes were not scorched, and they didn't even smell like smoke. King Nebuchadnezzar said, "Praise be to the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, for he sent his divine messenger to rescue his servants who trusted in him. They disobeyed my orders and laid their lives on the line, rather than serve or worship any god but their own. So I hereby make this decree. Any person from any nation or language who says anything against the God of Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego will be torn limb from limb, and his house will be destroyed, because there is no other God who is able to rescue so miraculously." Then the king promoted Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the province of Babylon